Welcome to GouldFish on Games, where the 16-bit era is well underway, but you'd think someone would come out with a light gun that would use all that power. Well, enter Nintendo and the Super Scope. The Nintendo Super Scope 6 was released in 1992 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. You might have guessed this is the PAL version based on the clues such as its colouring and the label on the box. And it's difficult to get across how big this box is on camera. It's over 2 foot or over 64 centimeters in length. Nintendo really seemed to be very proud of the packing games, saying they scored a bullseye. So let's open this up, and taking the cardboard cover off the moulded polystyrene insert, we get the bazooka itself. And the packed in title, the Super Scope 6. And if we take them out of this nicely designed packaging, we find 2 manuals, the sights, and the wireless sensor box. And before we set that all up, we should check the hardware manual, which directs us on how to insert the batteries, which, sticking with the magic light gun number, is 6 AA's. The manual also shows the console and the sensor box being in a sensible place, even if the box shows the console on top of the TV, which is really a silly idea as it means the controller cables dangle in front of the screen. But while we're here, we might as well set up the infrared receiver box on the top of the TV and plug it into port 2. The various buttons on the gun. Along the top of the gun we have a power switch that also doubles as turbo fire, a pause button, and the fire button. And if we travel all the way along to the front handle, we find another button that they call the cursor button, which actually gives us 2 usable buttons in game. It also goes on to show us how to attach the scope to the gun, which allows you to use it left or right handed. And if it wasn't obvious before, this is a very large system and not shaped like any light gun before or after. And it sits on the shoulder, which means you more or less have to use the sights if you want to play. It doesn't feel all that practical, but at least you don't get the arm fatigue that you get with a regular gun. But having to use the sights all the time doesn't feel natural or nice after a little bit either. So it's time to check out the packed-in game, the Super Scope 6, which starts with this Mode 7 powered title screen and goes straight on to the calibration options. And with that done, we get 2 game options? I thought this had 6 games, as hinted by the name, Super Scope 6. Now if we look at the manual, it seems there really are 3 games with various modes that take it up to the 6 titles. We have Blashrus with its A and B mode, there's Mole Patrol as a single title, and then there's Laser Blazer with 3 modes, Intercept, Engage and Confront. Let's see if there's enough content in each of these modes to really count as 6 titles. And where else can we start? But with Blashrus. This screen lets us choose between the different flavours of Blashrus and Mole Patrol, but let's go for A mode, and that allows us to select the difficulty setting, as well as it being 1 or 2 players. 2 players is a simple hot seat style mode where you have to beat each other's high score. And once in game we get this unique take on Tetris, if you couldn't have guessed from its name. Blocks move from left to right and you have to use the scope to remove part of the puzzle pieces. You don't get to control where these pieces are on the screen or how fast they move, so on earlier levels you will be waiting around a lot, as they'll slowly move across the screen, and you'll be always hoping that it randomly picks the right part of the well to add a new block. The amount of shots you have is limited, and you get 2 more every time a new block enters the well, so being tactical with what you break is important. There is actually quite a lot of strategy here, as you can break up the moving blocks so they'll move independently, or you can even break parts already set in the well to make them move and clear more lines. As with all these games, the goal is to make lines, but every time you clear 5, you'll move on to the next level, where you'll get to do the same all over again, but with a slightly faster movement. It's an interesting take on Tetris, and it is quite unique to play with the light gun, though I'm not entirely sure it improves the game or not. The bazooka design doesn't help with that either, as you have lots of downtime as you wait for the blocks to move into place. Blashrus had to be the next game to play, and it has 2 modes, Staged and Score Attack. The gameplay is more like a tile matching game than Tetris. Single blocks will fall from the top of the well, and when you shoot them they will change to one of 3 colours, and if you get 3 in a row following the standard rules, then they will vanish and you'll get points. In Stage mode there is a set of animated blocks already in the well, and you will have to take them all out to move on to the next level. Where in Score mode, these blocks don't exist, and you'll just have to keep going until the well is full and it's game over. There is one block, however, that will trip you up, and that's the locked one, as this will deflect any shots and will keep its starting colour, so you either have to work around it or clear it if it's a problem. Interestingly, when both this and the previous game finishes, it gives you 2 options, either return back to the title screen or to the mode select screen. You'd think they'd give you an option to quickly restart. And just like A mode, this is actually quite a fun puzzle game, just not one that was screaming to be played with a light gun. The first classical light gun game is Moon Patrol, and it follows the B mode in giving us 2 options, Stage or Score. In Stage mode, the mole lands will march across the top of the screen and then jump down the pipe, which will let you know how many targets you have to hit, and if there's any dreaded red ones. Your job is to watch out for the blue ones and blast them as soon as they pop their head out of one of the craters. Get all of them within the time limit and you're on to the next stage. Run out of time and it's game over. Oh, and if you hit one of the red ones, then they'll start showing up much faster. And as you can imagine, the difficulty increases with each stage you clear. In Score mode, it's actually the closest we get to a sharpshooter game in this entire package, as this will score you on how quickly you hit the molens as they pop up and how accurate you were, and this is scored out of a maximum of 100. It's now time to check out the other major set of games, Laser Blazer, which has 3 game modes, Intercept, Engage and Confront. And from first glance, this is all looking very polished. The first game is Intercept, which is special as it's the only game in this set that has a 2-player option, which is again another hot seat style score attack mode. The aim of the game is to shoot down the missiles as they fly across the screen. The trick is that you have to really lead your shots, as the size, shape and distance the missiles are varies. Thankfully, this is indicated with the colour of the missile, and you will have to quickly learn how far in front you have to shoot to take them down. Each stage has a wave of missiles and you'll get an idea of where they're coming from and roughly where they'll show up via the radar at the bottom of the screen. If any missiles make it past you, you will lose a life. You have 5 lives, so it is easy to lose all your lives to some of those further away missiles that you only get a limited number of attempts to take down. You can get a life back when Mario shows up on a plane and being chased by Lemmy. Just take out the Koopa and you can keep going for that little bit longer. And just when you think you have your eye in, everything changes, as it reverses the direction that you're moving. So all the missiles are now coming from the other side and their types have also switched up. Add in that you can only have 3 shots flying at any one time, this is a pretty tough but mostly fair game. The second mode is called Engage, in which it's our turn to attack the enemy craft in this Mode 7 powered shooter. Craft will fly towards us and we have to shoot them down, with a fast erratic missile to contend with as well. Once again we get an idea of where these various craft are as well as the missile through the handy radar at the bottom of the screen. To complete a stage, you have to shoot down a set number of craft, and if you miss one, it will show up again, but you only have a limited amount of fuel, which is indicated on the HUD. When you complete a stage, your craft will fly up and get refueled, before heading back down and doing it all over again. And thankfully in this one you can now fire 4 shots at once, which will actually recharge quite quickly, but you'll need those as they do come fast and furious. And the final game is Confront, which returns us to a static position and has multiple enemy ships flying in and trying to attack. But this time we have a powerful cannon that can fire a lot of very fast charges. So hitting the targets while they're tiny isn't too difficult, and it's best to do so, as if they get too close they will shoot you back. And once again there's a set number of targets for us to take out, and when that's complete the turret will move around so you can clear another wave. This is possibly the most simple of the Laser Blazer games, but it's also the fastest and with the most targets on screen. It's games like this that helped us show what the next generation of light gun could do, with lots of targets on the screen at once that the player could tackle in any order, all while there was no flashing screens, which isn't something that could be said of the NES Zapper. It's unfortunate that the development team didn't show off all the abilities of the gun, as none of the titles made any real use of the secondary cursor button on the front. The closest is that it forms part of the button combo that triggers a soft reset that will return us to the main menu. I think it might be a bit of a stretch to say that there were 6 games in this bundle, but they do show that typical Nintendo level of polish and effort in each of them. Thankfully the gun itself got some level of support, with about 8 titles using it and thus having the Super Scope logo on the box, and with a few other titles actually having extra modes that would use it as well. While this was clearly designed not to look like a regular gun, I would have preferred something a little more traditional, as after an hour or so of playing my shoulder was really feeling it. So until next time, I was the GouldFish, that is a sizable peripheral, and this was GouldFish on Games. Thank you for watching my video, I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you know what you need to do. Like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, or you can check out 2 other videos that I've done previously on the screen right now.